One line. Mr. Huang. Yeah. Okay. One line. Hey. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. The objective of Universal Education and Multicultural Exchange Association are aiming at the deepening the friendship between foreign country and Australia. UEMEA has been specializing in building up the friendship and cooperation for the agents from both sides. Dependent on the high-quality education resource and advanced education concept in Australia, UEMEA dedicating in providing opportunities for young people all over the world to experience Australia's culture, history, and educational system. The Education and Cultural Exchange Program provides the customized service to customers who have unique needs for the exchange programs. By organizing tour for performance, we help group members have a non-forgettable memory and integrate themselves into the environment in the different ways. Thank you.
This year is 72 years since Australian citizenship was introduced into law, creating for the first time a legal status of being uniquely Australian. During the time, Australia has welcomed more than 5 million new citizens to its shores. The first Australian citizenship ceremony was held on 3rd of February 1949. At the ceremony, 7 people representing each Australian state and territory swore their allegiance to our nation. Although they came from many countries from around the world, namely Czechoslovakia, Denmark, France, Greece, Norway, Spain, and Yugoslavia, they were united in their desire to make an official pledge and commit to becoming a citizen of Australia. Thousands of people from around the world take up Australian citizenship each year. In doing so, they make a commitment to Australian values, equality of opportunity, mutual respect and tolerance, freedom of speech and religion, and commitment to democracy and Australian law. And in return, they add to the richness and diversity of the Australian community. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our Master of Ceremony, Louis Lee Oayen. Originally from Malaysia, came to Australia in 1983. He is a proud Australian of Malaysian Chinese heritage. Louis completed a Bachelor of Architecture degree from University of New South Wales in 1989. His professional affiliations include Queensland Registered Architect, QBCC Licensed Builder Open. He is the Chairman, Australians of Chinese Heritage War Memorial Committee at Sunnybank RSL South Branch. He is the Honorary President, Universal Education, Multicultural Education Association. Today, ceremony is Louis's 46th Australian citizenship ceremony as Master of Ceremonies, volunteer organizer, and also has hosted a few community events and functions. He is a recipient of the Medal of the Order of Australia in Queen's Birthday, honors list for the work with Brisbane Chinese community in 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Master of Ceremony, Mr. Louis Lee Oayen.
Thank you, Julie Park, or Juhi Park. To help to slow down COVID-19, practice good hygiene and physical distancing. If you have any cold or flu symptoms, you should not be here. Stay at home or seek medical advice and get tested for COVID-19. Good hygiene including washing your hands, covering your cough, use alcohol-based sanitizer when you can't use soap and water. Apparently, soap and water is the best. Avoid touching your ear, nose, and mouth. For physical distancing, it is important that everyone continue to keep 1.5 meters away from others whenever possible. To avoid physical distance readings such as handshaking, hugging, kisses, and avoid congregating. Strongly encourage you to carry a face mask with you at all times and to provide the aid protection if you are in a situation where you cannot maintain social distancing.
celebrate Australian multiculturalism and the successful integration of the migrants into our community. Australia is one of the most successful multicultural countries in the world, and we should celebrate this and work to maintain it. Harmony Week is about inclusiveness, respect, and belongs for the old Australians, regardless of the old culture or linguistic background, united by the set of the core Australian values. Australia is a vibrant and multicultural country, from the oldest culture of our first Australians to the cultures of the newly arrived from all around the world. Our cultural diversity is one of our greatest strengths and is at the heart of who we are. It makes Australia a great place to live. An integrated multicultural Australian is an important part of our nation's identity. All people who migrate to Australia bring with them their own culture and religious traditions, as well as taking on new traditions. Collectively, these traditions have enriched our nation. Thank you.
You do it so well, Louise. he does deserve a good round of applause. Because mine is a very tongue-twister name. I rather say all the time it's a sentence by itself. It's all ready? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for our presiding officer, Mr. Perrett, and be the federal member for Malton and also the Shadow Assistant Minister for Education. He was born in St. George, 1966. St. George is about 509 kilometers away from here. Ladies and gentlemen, please take a seat. I begin by acknowledging the tradition honor of the land on which the ceremony is taking place. The Yugara people, Kujakara people, whose land covering the Logan River and up to the foothill of Toowoomba Range, and who have taken part of this thousands of generations. I pay my respect to the elders, past, present, and community who may be with us today. Welcome to the Australian Citizenship Ceremony to celebrate 2021 Harmony Week. Harmony Day is on the 21st of March 2021, which is tomorrow. This year marked the 72 years since the concept of the Australian citizen was introduced into the law into the Nationality and Citizenship Act 1948. My name is Louis Lee. I'm your MC today. This Harmony Australian Citizenship Ceremony is hosted by Universal Education and Multicultural Exchange Association Incorporated. I appreciate if you can switch off your mobile phone. If there is a fire, please follow the exit sign. And our ladies and gents toilet, which is on the left, which is on your right at the basement. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Prescott to do the acknowledgement of guests. Mr. John Prescott, please.
I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land that we are gathered and pay my respect to the past, present and emerging. So we have Mr. Graham Perrett, the presiding officer of the Citizenship Ceremony, authorised by the Minister under the Australian Citizenship Act 2007. Also the Federal Member for Moreton, the Shadow Assistant Minister for Education. Please put your hands together for Mr. Graham Perrett. Next we have Lewis Lee, OAM, the MC Extraordinaire, the volunteer organiser and also the Honorary President of Universal Education Multicultural Exchange Association Incorporated. Today it is his 46th Citizenship Ceremony, so please put your hands together to acknowledge his hard work and dedication. Next we have Alan Chen, the President of the Universal Education and Multicultural Exchange Association and today's host. Please put your hands together for Alan Chen. Next we have Mr. Peter Russo, the Member for Tui and the Chair for Legal Affairs and Safety Committee. Mr. John Paul Langbroek, the Shadow Minister for Senior Communities and Disability Service, Shadow Minister for Multiculturalism and Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Partnership, and also the Member for Service Paradise. Next we have my good friend, Surendra Prasad. He is the President of the Fijian Senior Citizens Association of Queensland. Next we have Carl Wu, who is a Secretary General of Multicultural Queensland Social Network. Before we had Julie Park, the Secretary of Southside United Multicultural Association. Then we have Stanley Xu, the Treasurer of Queensland Multicultural Council. Daniel Wang, the President of the Chinese Forum. We have Simon Tang, the President of Australian Queensland Fijian Association. Peter Zhuang, the President of Australian Queensland Sandong Association. Mr. Richard Huang, the President of Queensland Community Development Association. Peter Ziwu Zhen, the President of the Australian China Cultural and Economic Promotion Association. We have the beautiful dancer before, if you were early enough to see, Vera Putinja, the President of the Australian Indonesian Cultural Welfare Association. Praktikuti Mysore Guraj. I'm pretty sure I'm getting better every single time, my friend. She is the ambassador of the red carpet function and also a multilingual singer. Also, I would like to acknowledge the hard work of the UEMEA team, and without them, today doesn't happen. So please put your hands together for the team and their volunteers. Lastly, the most important VIPs we always leave to the last, and that is to acknowledge the 50 conferees of today. In a short while, you'll be welcomed into the Australian family. So please put your hands together to, in a minute, welcome you to the Australian family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Graham Perrett, the presiding officer, to deliver his speech, opening speech, and also to deliver minister message. Mr. Perrett, MP, please.
Thank you, Lewis, and could I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and thank them for their strong and continuing stewardship. Could I firstly acknowledge my state political representatives that are here, the local member Peter Russo, and also John Paul Langbroek, who I think is a graduate of this school. John Paul, I won't steal your thunder, but yes, coming back to his old school ground. I'm not sure how many detentions you had here, John Paul? No, none. Okay, of course, a fine citizen and a wonderful graduate of Sunnybank State High School. A wonderful school. Could also, Alan, to you and all of your team, I won't go through the community leaders, to the indefatigable Lewis Lee, who I know John mentioned this, but it was just one line that he said that he has done 46 citizenship ceremonies. I can tell you that a citizenship ceremony is not easily organised. Lewis Lee is incredibly well respected by the department, enough to run a citizenship ceremony himself. He has a fine team of volunteers. Thank you to all for making today possible. And lastly, but definitely not least, the citizens of the world who are about to become citizens of Australia. And you're in fine company with the community leaders that you're sitting amongst, people that have come from all around the world to Australia to make Australia the most successful multicultural country on earth. The most successful multicultural country. And also the country that has the oldest language on earth, the oldest culture on earth, the oldest art on earth, all in this wonderful place. Whether you come from the Netherlands, or whether you come from China, whether you come from India, Korea, it doesn't matter where you come, this is a place that you can call home. So thank you for taking that journey today to become part of the 25 million Australian stories. And your story is just as important as the other stories. But Lewis didn't call me here just to say a few words. It's important that I actually read the words of the Minister, the Honourable Alex Hawke, MP, Minister for Immigration, Citizenship, Migrant Services and Multicultural Affairs. And so I begin. Today, you become an Australian citizen. We are immensely proud of what we have achieved as a nation, and we welcome you in joining us. Our history and culture has been forged over thousands of years, first through Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and more recently with people from all corners of the earth. Australia has succeeded as a nation by embracing and defending our national values. We believe in the freedom and dignity of each individual, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of association. We value the rule of law, democracy, and equality of opportunity for all people. We stand with other democracies in helping to defend and protect these hard-fought freedoms. We are a resilient nation. Drought, bushfires, floods, and a global pandemic have challenged our normal way of life. Our social cohesion, a key strength of Australia, has never been more important. Upon taking the pledge of commitment today, I call on you to embrace these values and the rights and responsibilities of Australian citizenship, and play an active part in your local communities to build an even stronger nation. On behalf of the Australian Government, I congratulate you on reaching this very special day. Alex Hawke, Minister for Immigration, Citizenship, Migrant Services and Multicultural Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perrett and T for your opening speech and also deliver the minister message. Ladies and gentlemen, next I would like to invite our host today, Alan Chen, the President of Universal Education and Multicultural Exchange Association Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alan Chen.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 50 countries becoming Austrian citizens. Harmony Day on 21st March is an opportunity for all Austrians to come together. as a nation to reflect, respect, and celebrate. Australians can be proud of who we are as a nation. Our Australian values unite us and welcome migrants from across the world, make us stronger. Congratulations to the conference who will be the new Australian citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan Chen, our host. Next, we would like to invite Mr. Peter Russo, the state member for TUI, also the chair of the Community Safety and Legal Affairs Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, the hire of this Sunnybank State School Hall and the hire of DJ and audio technician are all funded by Peter Russo MP, supported by Peter Russo MP. Thank you, Peter. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Peter Russo MP.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to acknowledge all the distinguished guests that have been acknowledged, but especially like to welcome John Paul Langbroek back to his old school. I understand his name's on an honour board somewhere, so he must have been a very good student. I understand he was captain. As Lewis has said, my name's Peter Russo. I'm your state member if you're going to enrol in the state electorate of TUI. I am the son of an Italian whose father came to Australia as an economic refugee. I would like to commence today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land where we are gathered, the Jagera people, elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to a heritage that is steeped in traditions of our First Nations people, who have lived on these lands for over 60,000 years, and the Torres Strait Islander people. Their rich cultures have contributed to this great land. In this great nation, you are equal to all. It does not matter where your ancestors are from. We are a nation of diverse people. Welcome to today's Citizenship Ceremony. Welcome to Australia. On Australia Day, I read something in the paper which made me reflect on becoming an Australian citizen, and it's called Reflect, Respect and Celebrate, and I'd like to read that to you now. The story of Australia is the story of me. It's the story of you, and it's the story of we. In parts it's painful, in parts it's raw, in others it's beautiful, inspiring great awe. It tells of many people from far and wide, and those who've been here since the beginning of time. It brings us together and it tears us apart. We all have our views, so where do we start? By listening to each other and sharing our part. We are all part of the story. So welcome to Queensland. Congratulations on becoming Australian citizens.
Thank you, Peter, for your contribution and support. Ladies and gentlemen, next we would like to invite the former captain of this Sunnybank State High School. He's also a migrant. He now become the member for Surface Paradise. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. John Paul Langbroek, the Shadow Minister for Senior Community and Disability Service, and also Shadow Minister for Multicultural and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Langbroek MP.
Well, good morning everyone, and can I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet. I want to acknowledge all of the distinguished guests who've already been acknowledged, and for many of you, this may be your last citizenship ceremony. We all go through them many times, and it's something that you'll never forget. I still remember my citizenship ceremony, which was on Australia Day 1996. I was 35 before I became a citizen. So Graham Perrett, who I want to acknowledge, and Peter Russo, Lewis Lee for an amazing organisation to organisationally do all this, along with the federal department, Chen, of course, and many of the people who I know from the multicultural sector. To organise something like this during COVID especially, or post-COVID, takes a lot of organisation, and Peter, thank you for your generosity in sponsoring the hire of the hall. So as I said, I want to speak to you about probably three things, just briefly. Sunnybank as it was, my own story, and then your story, because of course you're the stars of today. And you may not be able to celebrate as you traditionally would with family. Normally the hall will be filled with families and young people. You'll still hopefully celebrate for the rest of the day. But Sunnybank, when I was school captain here in 1978, was a very, very different place. And I only have to look out, Peter and the others will know, that Graham will attest to how different South Brisbane, the southern suburbs of Brisbane are. So when I was here, my father was a teacher librarian at Runcorn State School, just up the road, and my mum was a library aide at Sunnybank Hills State School. And it was when we first witnessed the Asian migration that we've subsequently seen that's changed this area completely. So I also had come as a migrant on a boat from Holland and America. So my parents are now 89 and 85. And we were sent to Boona. My father was a teacher in Boona in the 1960s. So my sister went to Salisbury State High, which is no longer there. And I went here to Sunnybank and got into University of Queensland and became a dentist. The interesting thing about this hall is when I was here, it wasn't here at all. We had our school assembly on the basketball courts, which are just out there. And so it shows you how the whole area has changed a lot. But it's also a reflection of modern Queensland, and all of you are a reflection of what modern Queensland and Australia has become. So as I said, we came on a boat in 1962, and subsequently my sister and I had an education here, and we have now what you will all have, which is a family, community and connections in, as Graham Perrett has said, the most multicultural country on earth. And all we ask of you is that you come here and that we treat each other with harmony and tolerance and respect, as Peter Russo has said, because that's why we are so welcoming, because as I look at the people on the stage, the only person here who probably is completely Australian origin is Graham Perrett. So that shows you how diverse we've become. Peter's got Italian heritage, and of course we know with Lewis and Alan that they're also of Asian descent. So that shows you how different Queensland is. But importantly, Queensland is a place, and I've travelled many places, that is really quite unique. Queensland and Australia is quite unique, and we want you to enjoy and contribute to Queensland, to Brisbane and Queensland and Australia, and to keep making sure that whilst you may have mixed emotions sometimes about having either given up your former citizenship, or if you don't have to give up your former citizenship, you may still have mixed emotions about people you've left behind, your family, who you may not be able to see, for example, during COVID. But what we want you to do is make sure that you become an important, intrinsic part of Queensland life and Queensland civil society. As we've seen by the fact that there are many other distinguished guests here who are representative of multicultural groups who take their own time to come to your ceremony, and they'll be here next month and next year, and they keep doing that because of the contribution that they make to our civil society. So for three of us here, we get to do the job that probably is amongst the most privileged in society, and that is to become a Member of Parliament. But we can't also do it without all of the other volunteers, all the other multicultural groups, and all the government bureaucrats and public servants who support us in the job that we do. So if you'd said to me in 1978, when I was at school here, that I would end up a Member of Parliament, I would have thought you were completely mad. So the message to you is, if you'd like to get involved, if you'd like to encourage your children to get involved, that's what Australia can offer you. A country and a state where you can make a contribution and then get to serve and meet and associate with and become part of such a diverse community where everyone gets a go and where everyone has an opportunity to be the best that they can be. Thank you for having me here today, and it's lovely to welcome you all into the Australian family. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Langbroek MP. That is a very good message. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the important part. I will invite back Mr. Graham Perrett to do the preamble and a pledge of commitment. Mr. Graham Perrett, MP, please.
Thank you, Lewis, and thank you for those wonderful speeches from Alan and Peter and John Paul. One of the joys of being a politician is to be involved in citizenship ceremonies, and I'm sure, as John Paul says, he comes to a lot. I've been to many with Peter Russo, and it is a wonderful part of our job. As politicians, we get to talk a lot, and people often listen. After today, you don't have to listen to any more politicians, but you do have to listen to this thing that I'm about to read out now. Now, you're lucky, you've heard some great speeches, so you'll think this is Australian political life is indicative of this country, that we do embrace people from everywhere and give them a chance to become representatives. We are strange compared to other countries in that we make voting compulsory at the local government level, at the state government level, and at the federal government level. So we do say you must be involved as a citizen at least every 3 or 4 years when it comes to voting. But my job now is to read the actual legislation that you must follow closely. And this is because this is the formal part of the ceremony conducted in accordance with the Australian Citizenship Act 2007. As part of the legal requirements for today's citizenship ceremony, I will read the preamble from Section 1 of the Australian Citizenship Regulation 2016. Australian citizenship represents full and formal membership of the community of the Commonwealth of Australia. And Australian citizenship is a common bond involving reciprocal rights and obligations, uniting all Australians while respecting their diversity. Persons on whom Australian citizenship is conferred enjoy these rights and undertake to accept these obligations by pledging loyalty to Australia and its people, by sharing their democratic beliefs, by respecting their rights and liberties, and by upholding and obeying the laws of Australia. I will now ask those conferees who are making pledge number 1, which is the pledge containing the words "under God," if you could now stand. You have your pledge form, so if you're making pledge number 1, the religious commitment, if you would like to take your holy book in your hand, now is the time to do so. Please repeat this pledge line by line after me. From this time forward, under God. I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Please be seated. Conferees who are now making pledge number 2, please stand. Pledge number 2. Pledge number 2. There is no pledge number 3, so please, if you want to become an Australian citizen, you must be standing now. Please repeat after me. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Okay, the people that made pledge number 1, could you stand? So everyone who made pledge 1 or 2, and please make welcome our new Australian citizens. Well done, well done. Congratulations. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, next is the presentation of the Australian Citizenship Certificate and gift. I would like all the official party to come down to the...
Okay. 1, 2.
The second one is M. Amulasan Asoni. And third one, get ready, is Yongmu Pak. Yes, stay in your spot. On your spot. Yeah. Thank you. Young Pak. And we have Mark Beltran. Get ready.
1, 2.
Okay, Mark, your turn. And Wendy Bryan, you stay on Mark's spot. Okay, look into the camera. Wendy Bryan, next one. And can I have Hong Hai Chai taking Wendy's spot? Hong Hai Chai. And Jin Zhuang Chai will be next one. Chai. And Belinda Chen with the family. There is three dependents together with Belinda. So there will be 4 of them. The 4 of them. Okay, Brenda Chan, Caleb Wong, Cyrus Wong, and Inyi Wong. There should be 4 of them. So the other dependent is not here. You can have the certificate. And Ping Cheng Cheng. Who is Ping Cheng Cheng? Okay, you are next. Ping Cheng Cheng can take your spot. And Vivian Collat, you are this. Vivian will be next. Vivian Collatti, together with the dependent Michael Rosanna. Yes, together. 2 together. In a family. And ex-spring Demin will be next. Okay. Ex-spring next. And Rowan Di Castro. And Jennifer is next. Okay. Jennifer Hugh De Souza. Rowan. Thank you. Jennifer De Souza. And Lotus L. Faya. You can take the spot. You can take the spot.
1, 2.
And Maziza L. Ketif. Are you in the family? Yeah. You're all in the family, the 3 of them. That is Maziza L. Ketif. And Adu L. Faya. Mom in the middle? All right. And Insu Han, the next. Insu, you can take the spot. Insu, you can go to Julie Park spot. And Insu Han next. Gisela Mel Hao. Gisela Mel Hao.
1, 2.
And Ting Ting House next. You've done a marvelous job so far. Well done. Ting Ting House, Lana Houston.
1, 2,
Pat Ching Hung next. Lana taking photo now. And Pat, get ready.
1, 2,
Pat Ching Hung. Solowski Tonga Huni. Union Hung is next. Union Hun is next.
2,
Drejika Gagut. Drejika Gagut and Rubinda Gaut. Rubinda.
1, 2,
Rubinda. Seokwan Kim with Area Kim. Seokwan Kim, Area Kim, Amit Kumar. Amit
Practicing, not listening.
Kumar.
Right?
Okay.
Ji Yang Lee. Amit Kumar. And Dr. Ji Yang Lee is next. Dr. Lee. Xiao Ma. Xiao Ma, get ready. Xiao Ma. And Syed Said Malihi.
1, 2,
Hassan Mustafa.
1, 2,
Hassan Mustafa. Van Kien Nguyen. Van Nguyen. Yep.
1, 2,
Kubun Patel. And Samit Kumar Patel. Samit is next. Karavi is okay.
1, 2,
Samit Kumar Patel. Karavi Satu. Lipao Sony. Lipao Sony is next.
1, 2,
Tuan Han Train. Madero Lozano Upinto.
1, 2,
Madero Sinjin Wang.
1, 2,
CG1 and Tifuri Web.
1, 2,
and Danny Wong. Danny Wong is next. After Danny will be Ahmad Zainab.
1, 2,
This is our last new citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, you all have done a marvelous job, quiet and in an orderly manner. Thank you very much. Can I ask the official party to go back to your seat? The official party to go back to your seat. Thanks to our new citizen and thanks to all the volunteer and our official photographer. You've done a marvelous job today. The best, I think, in the orderly manner during the photo section. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite Mr. Graham Perrett back on the microphone and give you 5 important pieces of advice to the new citizen. Mr. Perrett, MP, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Lewis. Now, these 5 pieces of advice are not actually part of the official legislation, so you won't have to look up the legislation that provides the background for these. But these are my 5 tips for becoming a good Australian. Now, I've run them past people like Surendra Prasad and Grace, so many multicultural leaders, and they have given them a tick of approval that this will help make you a better Australian. And my first recommendation is, and it's appropriate for Multicultural Week, is that you share a meal with your neighbours. Because nothing breaks down barriers like sharing food together. It could be in a local park, at your house, at a barbecue, at a restaurant, whatever you feel comfortable with. But sharing a meal with your neighbours makes us a stronger community. My second recommendation is that you track down some Australian literature. Now, it could be literature written by someone who's been here for 6 months or someone who came here 200 years ago. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be written, the poetry of Ujuru Nunukul, which has links back 60,000 years. So find some Australian literature that talks to you. My third recommendation is that you find some Australian gum trees, some Australian plants, and rub it in your hand after today, and from today it will smell different, it will feel different, it will taste different, because from today you are an Australian citizen. That smell of gum leaves in your hand will be a different experience from today. My fourth recommendation is that you find the word of the First Nations people who own the land that you stand on, that you live on or work in. So find some Indigenous words. As I said earlier, the oldest words on earth belong to First Nations people. The First Nations people have nearly 600 languages in Australia. So find a word that you can use next time you're phoning home or emailing home or writing home and use that word in your conversation with the country that you also call home. The word I use from my hometown, I'm not sure if it's a Kamilaroi word or a Minjinjari word, is Naragar. That's a polite way of saying that someone's being very silly. It's a polite way to say it. You can get away with saying it. So that's my word suggestion for you, Naragar. Now, the fifth recommendation is a little bit harder, and that is that you have to find an Australian sporting team to support. So, that is hard. I'm looking at someone that came from New Zealand, so you're probably not going to drop the All Blacks because they are the best rugby union team in the world. So you probably won't make the Wallabies your number one rugby union team if you're a rugby union fan. I understand that. You'll always have a special connection with your country of origin. But you do have to find an Australian team that you can follow. So if you're from India and you don't want to make the cricketers, maybe you'll make it netball or swimming or badminton. Find an Australian team that you can make your number one team. Because from today, if you ever make Australia your number 3 team, then you can be deported. Okay, so that's very important to find that sporting team. So they're my 5 tips. Share a meal, find some Australian literature, find some Australian plants, find some First Nations words, and find an Australian team to support, and they will help to make you a functioning part of the most successful multicultural country on earth, Australia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Perrett MP. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about the Australian Citizenship Certificate. Once you have received the Citizenship Certificate, check your certificate carefully. Your official Australian Citizenship Certificate is an important legal document, is your evidence of your Australian citizenship. Please ensure that your name and date of birth are correct, and today's date is printed on your certificate in the bottom left corner. Your certificate should be stored in a cool and dry location. Please do not damage your certificate by folding it. Damaged certificate will not be accepted by the Australian Passport Office. We also do not recommend framing your certificate, as you will need to quote the ACC number listed on the back of your certificate to apply for Australian passport. Citizenship certificate should not be laminated. They contain the security feature, and laminate certificate may not be accepted by Australian Passport Office. Now, if you have any queries about the certificate or any other matter in reference to the ceremony today, you can talk to me, but I'm a volunteer. I'm the volunteer delegate for the Department of Home Affairs. There is no officer from the Department of Home Affairs. If I come answer your question, you can always contact the Department of Home Affairs, okay? Direct. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite Stanley Shi to do the Affirmation Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stanley Shi.
Thank you, Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, now that I've witnessed the pledge of commitment made by our new citizens, I would like to invite everyone to participate in our Australian Citizenship Affirmation Ceremony. The Australian Citizenship Affirmation is based on the pledge that our new citizens have just made. Participation in the Australian Citizenship Affirmation is voluntary and it carries no legal status. The affirmation was introduced in 1999 as part of the 50th anniversary celebrations of Australian citizenship, as a way for people who were born as Australian citizens to be able to make a public pledge of commitment. Those who are not Australian citizens but feel a strong connection to Australia are also welcome to participate. Just join in from the second line. If you would like to take part, please stand and repeat each line after me. The words can be found on the affirmation card you have received. It's the back page, down the bottom. Please stand. As an Australian citizen, I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose law I uphold and obey. Please sit.
Thank you, Stanley, for the Australian Affirmation Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, now I invite Richard to talk about the Australian Electoral Commission. Richard is the volunteer from the Australian Electoral Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Richard Kwan.
Thank you, Luis. Dear new citizens, you have received a partially completed electoral enrollment form. Please check the details and correct them if necessary. Add in your occupation and postal address, your Australian driver license number, and state and sign. Once the form has been completed, please hand over to the counter of Australian Electoral Commission. All Australian citizens needs to maintain their electoral details for their current address. Please be advised, the new citizen may enroll to vote by completing the electoral enrollment form given to you. You may go to the following website, www.aec.gov.au for more information about Australian Electoral Commission. Alternatively, you can contact Australian Electoral Commission by phone on 13-23-26 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard Kwan. Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to stand for the singing of the national anthem? Can I please ask Vera Pottinger to lead the national anthem? Vera Pottinger, please.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is the high sea. Our land abounds in ages of beauty, riches and rare. In peace is place, let every state and once Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, and once Australia fair. Beneath our waves, star and cross, we'll join with hearts and hands to make this commonwealth of ours renowned of all the lands. For those who come across the seas with others' grace to share, with courage let us hold and bind to once Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, and once Australia fair.
Please be seated. Thank you, Vera Pottinger. Ladies and gentlemen, now is a certificate of appreciation presentation. Alan Chen and James, would you please first certificate to present to Mr. Perrett. Alan Chen, I'll give you a few seconds. We got a lot of time. We are ahead of time. Where's the volunteer? Where's the certificate? First is Mr. Graham Perrett, thank you for doing as a presiding officer. Mr. Federal Member for Morton, and also the Shadow Assistant Minister for Education. Next, can I ask Mr. Peter Russo MP? Thank you for sponsoring our DJ or audio technician and also the hire of the premises. Peter is always kind. Next, can I ask the former captain of the Sunnybank State High School, Dr. John Paul Langbroek, to stop his citizenship in 1996. And the last one is me. I think you will present me. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Surendra Prasad to offer a vote of thanks. Surendra Prasad is the President of Fijian Senior Citizen Association of Queensland, also the Chairman of the Australian of the Indian Heritage War Memorial Committee, also the Honorary Advisor for Southside United Multicultural Association. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Surendra Prasad.
Thank you, Louis, to give me this opportunity to say a vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, I'd like to thank Louis Lee OAM, the MC for today's ceremony, and also for his continuous support and guidance for this event and many other events such as this in the past. This is his 46th citizenship ceremony today, and we have both organized many events together in the past, and we're still looking at organizing events in future as well. So he's a great guy. Please give him a round of applause. I would like to thank Graham Perrett MP, the presiding officer, and his staff for their support in preparing this ceremony and printing all documents. And thank you for your advice. Follow this advice. It's a very good advice. I always supported him for those advice. Please give your Thanks to Peter Russo MP for his contribution and arrangement for this venue for us, which is great contribution by him. We thank Sunnybank State High School for providing us this spectacular venue and DJ. Please give them a round. Thanks to all elected representatives and the VIP guests for their speeches, guidance, support, and attendance. Please give them a round. Needless to say, without the support and involvement from citizenship team from Department of Home Affairs, this event would not have been possible. A big thank you to them. Thanks to Richard Hong, he's always around for his attendance and reading out the Australian Election Commission matters to new citizens. Now we would like to thank UEMEA under the leadership of Alan. Thanks Chen and his team for their effort in organizing the second citizenship ceremony this year. Second citizenship this year. They've done one in January and today. This is the second one he's doing it. So it's taken a lot of time and effort to do all this organizing the events. So please give them a round of applause. We would like to thank Annie and Jane for registration, John Prescott for acknowledgement of guests, Stanley for affirmation ceremony, and speeches from Jane, Chris, Julie, Shasha's not here anyway, and Richard. Stanley, please, thank you all. Please give them a round of applause. And the important one, we thank both the performers, Vera and Prakriti, for their wonderful performance, and also thank Vera for singing the national anthem. Thank you very much. A big thank you to our photographers. I think Robin is here. I don't know Nicholas is here or not. Always available to support such an event. You always run and support this type of events all the time. Thank you very much. Last but not the least, a very special thanks to all newest citizens for joining the Australian family today. Please, thank you for joining us today. If I miss anyone, please accept my sincere apology. Thank you. Happy Harmony Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Surrender Prasad. Surrender Prasad, as I say, is the honorary advisor of Southside United Multicultural Association, honorary advisor, also the second rotating chair of Multicultural Queensland Social Network, the president of the, Fijian Senior Citizen Association of Queensland, and also the chairman of the Australian of the Indian War Memorial, Indian Heritage War Memorial at the Sunnybank RSL. There is 2 memorials at Sunnybank RSL. I'm the chairman of the Australian of the Chinese Heritage War Memorial. We are all in one together, and next to Chinese War Memorial is the Indian War Memorial. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony. But before I conclude, because I have to conclude by 11, we've got 4 more minutes. We will be doing some group photos. Stay where you are. Please show your certificate. I will ask officials to come down to the stage and our photographer to come to the stage. I also want to thank another official photographer, Nico Zan, which we miss out, and also thanks John Paul Langbroek all the way from Surfers Paradise, the former captain, for your wonderful speech. Really appreciate your attendance. Ladies and gentlemen, stay where you are. Please show your certificate. Our official will come down. Yeah, just come down. Stay, yeah, just stay. No need to check. Our official will stay. Photographer, Robin, go upstairs. And then upstairs, take a photo from there. Yeah, we stay here. Come. Yeah. Certificate, if possible. Okay? Try to social distancing. Okay. Okay, look at the photographer. Left hand side is Robin San. The other side is Nicole Zan. Any more? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, last, can I thank each and every one of you for your attendance and support today. Thank you, and I'll see you around.